Hey everybody, it's your favorite white colonizer here. I wanted to talk about something that I saw recently in regards to all these people who are following ICE agents around. Here in the state of Oregon, in the city of Portland, really more like a suburb of Portland, known as the Beaverton-Hillsboro area, there is a girl, I believe her name is Kiley Delgado, and she's made the news, and she's got quite the following on social media. And she's one of these people that follows ICE around and tries to impede their investigations and things like this. And I actually saw a video the other day involving her, and some fireworks went off on my head because I've dealt with women like this multiple times in my life. I've met many women like this. I hesitate to call her a woman because really she's a girl. She's a girl who hasn't grown up yet. So we'll call her a girl from here on out. But I've known many girls like this throughout my life. And of course, everything I say here is just my belief. It's not fact. I'm making perhaps an assertion. This is something that I believe. It's not something that's necessarily true, but this is my theory, okay? I've known so many girls that are like this. And there's two things that really stand out in regards to her behavior. And they're pretty important things and kind of entertaining things. And pretty much discredits everything she does. Let's talk about that. Stay tuned. So this girl, Kiley Delgado, and the reason I call her a girl is because when you use terms like woman or lady, it communicates that there's been some sort of maturity process that's happened where somebody has actually become an adult. And unfortunately, that's not the case here, or so it seems, in my opinion, right? It's very common with leftists. Being a leftist is a young person's game, whether it's in body, mind, or spirit. Typically, your emotions and your mental state is still in a very young, immature state. And that's why leftism is so appealing to them, because when you're a leftist, your head's kind of still up in the clouds, your feet are not firmly planted on the ground. Basically, you haven't matured yet. You're living in kind of a dream world where you have this vision where you think things should be, but it's very unrealistic. And it's very common among the leftists. That's sort of one of the big differences between the left and the right. The rightists tend to be people who have actually matured. A lot of leftists, when they mature, they end up being rightists, because it's sort of a natural progress. You mature and you start to see reality for what it is, and your feet are firmly planted on the ground, and big difference, right? With this girl, you can see that she's still kind of stuck back in her high school days. Here's why. I'll tell you two reasons. The first reason is the bullying, okay? And the second reason is what I believe, the cuckolding, okay? We're going to cover both of these. Like I said, these are just my opinions. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that this is fact. These are my beliefs. These are my theories, okay? Now, the behavior that she engages in, there's no doubt, that's bullying, okay? And this is probably a girl who engaged in this behavior in high school, and she's still kind of stuck back in high school. In high school, if you can remember back to those days, which is difficult for rightists to do because they have matured and grown, and remembering how things were in high school can be a little bit of a challenge. But if you can remember back to these days, these bullies, they would typically pick on people who they knew wouldn't hit them in the face when they were picking on them. They knew they either wouldn't hit them in the face, or they knew that they had enough people around them that, if they did try to hit him in the face, they would be defended by these people around them. That's just kind of what bullies do. They don't really want to pick on anybody who they know is going to hit him in the face. But in some of these videos, the behavior that this girl engages in, where she follows Ice around almost as if she has nothing better to do. I don't know if she has a job. I don't see how she could. I don't know if she has kids. I don't see how she could, because I don't understand how she could possibly have time to just follow ICE agents all around a suburb of Portland. And then she confronts these ICE agents. And a lot of people will try to pass this off as brave. She's so brave for doing this. She's such a wonderful activist for doing this. What a brave woman, right? No, she's not a brave woman. She's a cowardly girl who is talking a lot of smack, engaging in a lot of body shaming, engaging in a lot of personal insults, and engaging in a lot of just bullying. She's making fun of their family. She's making fun of them. I mean, it's just despicable behavior. It's the same kind of bullying behavior that you would see in a high school when they know that someone won't hit them in the face, because she knows that these ICE agents aren't going to hit her in the face. They're not going to knock her the F out. She knows that's not going to happen, which is ironic in a way because of how people like her are trying to cast these ICE agents as being Nazis and fascists. But they can go say all these horrible things to them, body shaming them, insulting them, talking about their families, talking about their sexuality. The list goes on and on and on. I engaging in racist behavior. I heard her call somebody a race traitor. I grew up around people who used that term. They were white supremacists and neo-Nazis in the Milwaukee, Oregon area. The only people I've ever heard use the term race traitor were racists. It's a horrible term to call somebody. Making fun of people's hairline. She probably make fun of my hairline. That's okay, because that's what bullies do, right? Making fun of people's families. Just really terrible bullying behavior is what she's engaging in, because she knows those ICE agents won't hit her in the face. And the irony of it is, all these people trying to make them seem so horrible, but they've got so much self-control. If I was one of those ICE agents, I don't think I'd be able to hold back, okay? She wouldn't walk up into the mall, in a mall or a grocery store, and talk to somebody like that, because she knows she'd get hit in the face. She only does it in situations where she knows she's not going to get hit in the face. And she knows those ICE agents aren't going to walk up and hit her in the face. She knows that. As much as she wants to cast them to be evil, terrible people. You know, it's very telling that these leftist type people who claim to be champions of LGBTQ, champions of people, regardless whether they're fat or ugly, but they're the first ones who will go up to people and body shame them. I've seen so many of these leftists who attack these ICE agents talking about, oh, you were on Grindr. I think I saw you were on Grindr, you know, implying that maybe they're gay. Maybe they are gay. So what's the problem? Why would you even bring that up? Because they are the ones who have a problem with gays. They are the ones who have a problem with race. They are the ones who have a problem with people's bodies, while they claim that they're the ones who don't. It's despicable. And that's the sort of behavior that I personally witnessed her engage in on video. By watching the video, I saw her, how she was talking to these ICE agents, full well knowing that they're not going to walk up and hit her in the face. Even though I wish they would. I wish they would. Goodness gracious. One of these days, I hope they put her on the ground and they cuff her and they make her understand that what she's doing is wrong, because bullying is just so wrong. And that's what she's doing. And she's getting away with it. Who knows why? Maybe she's got some trauma. Maybe she had a bad upbringing. She probably got away with this stuff in high school. Now she's continuing to do it because she hasn't grown up. She's still a girl. In her head, she's just a girl. She's not a woman. She's not a lady. She's a girl. She's a girl that hasn't grown up yet. And that's sad. We should feel sorry for her. You know, she's putting herself out there on display for the girl that she is. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are like her or that just want to be entertained. And they're watching this as if they were watching a television show, because when she's doing this stuff to these ICE agents, when she's bullying them, apparently there's people watching the live stream and they're actually donating to the bullying. So all these leftists who are just thoroughly entertained by her bullying these people who are uniformed personnel doing their job. They've been doing their job for decades now. They were doing their job when Biden was president. They were doing their job when Obama was president. They were doing their job when Clinton was president. They've been doing their job for decades. But now, because Trump, it's okay for people to go bully them, even though they weren't doing it before. And a large part of that has to do with how city mayors and state governors and federal level Congress folks, right, men and women, they're basically saying that you've got a free pass. As long as you don't, threaten to kill somebody or some horrible thing like that, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You go tell these ICE agents anything they want, body shame them, make fun of them, make fun of their sexuality, their family. It's fair game. It's horrible, terrible stuff that these politicians have endorsed. And then you've got girls like this Kiley Delgado who just eat it up and they go out. And the thing about it is it was all there before she was given full permission by her leaders to do this. There's no doubt in my mind, this is my opinion, but she's a bully. She's probably always been a bully. And when you tell a bully, hey, you can go bully these people, have at it. Good times, have fun, enjoy yourself. And that's what she's doing. She's going and bullying these people, and she knows they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to hit her in the face. No, she wouldn't do that to someone who would hit her in the face. And there's a word for that. You know what we call that? We call that a coward. A coward. Yeah? When you only run your mouth when you know that there's not going to be a fight, that's cowardice. It's not bravery. That's cowardice. But that's typical for these Antifa type folks. And, a little bit of research on the internet, you can see this Kiley Delgado. She's got some history regarding this Antifa business. I want to say there were some charges involved, maybe some arrests. Don't quote me on that. Go do your research. But typical, these Antifa folks, they're not going to bully people that they know are going to hit them in the face because they're cowards. And yeah, apparently, in my opinion, she's one of them. Now, people who are mature, who've had a little life experience, I have really no idea how old this girl is, but I think she's old enough that she should have matured enough by now to not be a girl anymore. But for people who do have some maturity and some life experience, you got to wonder, the people in her life, I really hope that she doesn't have kids, because I couldn't imagine living with someone who's got so much anger, somebody who's a bully, living with them, During COVID, a lot of people had to live with their abusers. They couldn't go to work, they couldn't go to school. And, when you live with someone who's just full of hate and rage and anger and aggression and frustration and engages in bullying behavior like I've witnessed her do, I couldn't imagine how their life must be. And I do know, or at least I heard, I read, I listened in the news report, she's married. Her husband actually appeared in one of the news reports. And as soon as I laid eyes on him, I could see, in my opinion, that he was one of these Portland types, because Hillsborough and Beaverton it's really a part of Portland. It's suburbs of Portland. And, these liberal cities, these leftist type of males, right? I wouldn't call them boys. What I would call them is beta male cuckold bitches, or beta cuck bitches for short. And I'm not saying that's what he is. I'm just saying that's my opinion. That's all. No fact here. I don't have any, I'm not making a factual statement, or I'm just saying this is my opinion. I'm allowed to have an opinion. And I would say that I feel sorry for him, but this leads me to my next point. These men, they are what they are, and they choose this. And that's the point number 2, the cuckold lifestyle. And I'm not saying that that's the lifestyle they're living. I'm just saying this is my opinion, my belief, okay? I've known a lot of females that exhibit the same behavior that she does. And I've noticed her passion, or what she claims is a passion. I mean, it does seem genuine about illegal immigrants and ICE not rounding them up, right? And it got me to thinking, a lot of these females that are like her, that run the mouth like she does, and that are just engaging in constant ball busting and bullying behavior, it wouldn't surprise me, this is my theory, if she took her big old SUV and she was going to that Home Depot and picking up an SUV load of these brown-skinned and maybe darker-skinned people, right? And then bringing them to her house. And I'll tell you, there's a thing you'll see in a lot of hotel rooms. There's you got your bed in the hotel room, and then you got this chair. It's like a pretty comfy looking chair. It's not just a desk chair. It's not a recliner, but it's a fairly comfortable chair. And there's a word for that chair. It's called a cuckold chair, or a cuck chair, right? And this is where the guy that's with the woman, usually married to her, or maybe it's her boyfriend, this is where he sits when they bring back a group of people or men, right? Or maybe just one man, but they bring back these men to the hotel room, and the husband or boyfriend will sit in that chair with something in his hands, and he'll watch. It's called a cuck chair, right? So let's say she's going to these Home Depot parking lots and picking up these groups of men and bringing them back to the house, and heading to the bedroom where the cuck chair is, and the cuck is sitting in the cuck chair and watching these men go to work, because that's why people pick these folks up at Home Depot, because they use them for labor, pay them low wages, like slave labor wages. And ICE, apparently, or so I've heard, they go to these Home Depots to see if some of these groups of brown-skinned and black-skinned men are hanging around at these Home Depots. And maybe she's picking them up, this is just my theory, bringing them back to the house, so they can do a little work, right? In the bedroom. And he's sitting in his cuck chair, and they're doing their work with Kiley. And maybe if the cuck is lucky, he'll be able to do some cleanup afterwards. Or he'll be able to do a little work himself after all of the illegal immigrants have already done their work. Maybe that's what's going on. That's the impression I get. I don't know if it's true or not. It's just my theory. It's just my opinion. Okay? I'll tell you, I was a freak back in the day. I've never sat in the cuck chair, but I've been a part of the group that saw the cuck sitting in the cuck chair, and he got something in his hands, and maybe a tear coming down his cheek. But that's the life they choose, and I'm not judging that so much. Like, that's okay. It's weird. It's a bit crazy, it's freaky for sure. But it's the life they choose. So I don't really feel sorry for them. Just what they do. Yeah. And I really do believe that's the situation here. I could be wrong. I think we're dealing with the bully, and there's a lot of cuck vibes going on, especially if you watch that video with him talking on, you know, like, ooh, she's wearing the pants, I think, personally, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, that's the life you choose. Yeah. I definitely don't agree with their take on illegal immigration. I believe that federal law should be enforced. If you don't like the law, you know, you change that up in Congress. If you have nothing better to do than follow federal agents around and bully them when you know that they're not going to do anything to you, yeah, you're a coward. And I'm not sure what the term is for a cuckoldress, in my opinion. But let me know what you think. Leave something in the comments. Yeah, I'd be glad to see whatever you have to say, and I'll certainly respond for sure. Yeah, take care.